Hi friends, welcome to IBS IAS Academy YouTube channel. I am Ashok, Assistant Professor at IBS IAS Academy, and I have been training from UPSC aspirants since the past 4 years. In this YouTube channel, we will be covering all the issues important for UPSC Civil Services examination and also for the state public service examinations. Please do like, share, comment and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Good morning everyone. Welcome to IBS IAS Academy. Today we will be discussing the current affairs of 16th October 2020. Okay? So, the highlights of the current affairs are the Global TB Report of 2020 and Nandankanan Zoo revives scheme for animal adoption, India country status report on hydrogen and fuel cells, Scale India Android app for enhanced quality assurance under Skill India mission and New Shepherd program. So these are the current issues of 16th October, so we will be discussing them in detail. So the first one, the Global TB Report 2020, right? This belongs to GS paper 2 and the area is social justice, right? The Global TB Report. The very first thing we have to understand about TB is tuberculosis. It is a disease caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is a bacterial infection which infects lungs. We will get into the concepts. The World Health Organization has published Global TB Report every year since 1997, right? It is publishing the Global TB Report every year since 1997. The purpose of the report is to provide the comprehensive and up-to-date assessment of the status of the TB epidemic, right? There is a difference between epidemic and pandemic, and today we are dealing with corona pandemic. Pandemic is the worldwide aspect. Epidemic is the disease which is prevalent in a particular geographical area. So we are talking about TB epidemic. And of progress is the response of the epidemic at global, regional and the country levels in the context of global commitments and strategies. So since the past many years we are trying to contain the TB, tuberculosis. And the reason why it is very difficult to contain tuberculosis is because the most of the wide spectrum antibiotics do not work on tuberculosis. It is very difficult to contain the bacteria because they have genes which act against these antibiotics. The highlights of the report. So what does the report say? The globally an estimated 10 million people fell ill in 2019, right? About 10 million people. And the number has been declining very slowly in the recent years. And with the advanced technologies, we are trying to contain whatever the disease that can be. But tuberculosis is declining at a very slow pace. And 8 countries accounted for 2/3 of the global total. Right? India has 26%, Indonesia has 8.5%, China has 8.4%, and the rest. So you can see how drastically the difference is, how drastical difference the India has. India is accounting for about 26% of the global tuberculosis cases. Despite increasing tuberculosis notifications, there was still a large gap between the number of people newly diagnosed and reported, right? And this gap is due to the combination of underreporting of the people diagnosed with the TB and underdiagnosis. So diagnosis is not at all in a proper way. So if the diagnosis is proper, so the treatment can be ascertained for those people and we can prevent the disease from spreading from one individual to the other individual. We are calling it crowd immunity. The biggest contributors of the global increase were India and Indonesia. As you can see here, India is contributing 26% and Indonesia is contributing about 8.5%. And the report also mentions that COVID-19 pandemic threatens the reverse recent progress in reducing the global burden of TB disease. So we have seen the COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2, the virus, right, has changed many scenarios. The same way the tuberculosis, the way we trying to contain the tuberculosis disease is impacted because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And what is the World Health Organization and TB strategy, which is very important. The World Health Organization and TB strategy outlines the global impact targets to reduce TB deaths by 90%. It wants to reduce the deaths by 90% and also it wants to reduce the new cases by 80% between the years 2015-2030. Right? This is the main objective of NTB strategy. and to ensure that no family is burdened with the catastrophic costs due to tuberculosis. As we can see in India, the most of the people are being thrown below the poverty line because of the burden of medicine, because they had to spend lots of money on health from their own pockets, because of which the disposable income is very less or little compared to the other people in the other countries. So we have to reduce the burden on medicine or the costs accounted to health. India is committed to eliminating tuberculosis from the country by 2025. This is very important, right? India is committed to eliminate completely tuberculosis from the country by 2025, and 5 years ahead of the global target of the World Health Organization 2030. The World Health Organization is trying to reduce the TB population by 2030, but India is aiming to contain the tuberculosis or eliminate the tuberculosis by 2025. So this is important. Tuberculosis caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, right, that infects the lungs. TB is spread from one person to person through air, right? Whenever he coughs, whenever infected person coughs through the water, through the droplets, right, it spreads to the other infected person, the same as COVID. The next one, Nandankanan Zoo revives scheme for animal adoption, right? So what is this animal adoption? How does this scheme helps us? It comes in environment GS paper 3, right? So Nandankanan Zoological Park, which is in Bhubaneswar, which suffered a huge loss following its closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the pandemic, it has closed down, and because of close down of the zoological parks, so the income will actually reduce, which will affect the animals surviving in the zoo. And it has revived its innovative adopt an animal program. So you could adopt an animal, right? So when you adopt an animal, you will bear the expenses of the animal, so related to the food or the health, right? So the adopt an animal program will mobilize all the resources for animals present in the zoo. The purpose of the adoption program is to create awareness and connect with the people involved in conservation activities, right? So whoever feel like conserving the wildlife, because conserving the wildlife is very important, because we are all linked together. So if one species is affected, the other species will get affected as well. With resources drying up due to the closure for more than 6 months, the Nandankanan Zoological Park authorities revived the Adopt an Animal program, and one of the leading zoos in the country in terms of the fauna population and the species diversity, right? And the adoption scheme would bring public, corporate bodies and institutions closer to the zoo and heighten their love and passion for captive animals and the birds, right? So what is the scheme, right? Zoo authorities came up with the scheme urging animal lovers to provide funds from rupees 500 to 2.5 lakh. So this is the scheme. You can provide the funds right from 500 rupees to 2 lakh 50,000 rupees. And what will you get when you give that money? So once you give that money, you will be given a plaque in the zoo. So plaque is nothing but a memento which will be established in the zoo, right? And also for the income you have donated, you will get income tax rebates as well. So in this way, they are trying to mobilize the resources for the animals present in the zoo. And few points about Nandankanan Zoological Park. It is located in Bhubaneswar, Orissa, and it has the largest collection of white tigers in India, which is very important for prelims perspective, right? Nandankanan Zoological Park has the largest collection of white tigers in India, and a unique white tiger safari was established in Zoological Park on 1st October 1991. And it is a home of endangered species. What kind of endangered species? The first thing we have to understand, what are endangered species. Endangered species are the species which the population count is very less. If we do not care for, they will become extinct in a few years, right? And the species above them are critically endangered species. The population will be in thousands, that's all, right? And the above them, it is the extinct in wild category, and these categories are given by International Union for the Conservation of Nature. International Union for the Conservation of Nature categorizes the animal depending upon their population population number. And the endangered species living in this zoological park are Asiatic lion and Indian crocodiles and Sangan lion-tailed macaque and Nilgiri langur, Indian pangolin, mouse deer, and different birds, reptiles, and the fish. And it became the first zoo in India to join World Association of Zoos and Aquariums in 2009. And the park is nicknamed as the Garden of Heaven or the Garden of the Gods, which is very important. Which of the following zoological parks is named as the Garden of Heaven or the Garden of Gods? So this can be a preliminary question. And it is the only conservation breeding center of Indian pangolins in the world, right? Indian pangolins. And when it comes to the pangolins, there is also one other important point related to the COVID, right? So COVID is a zoonotic disease. So it came from the animals, it came from the bats to the humans, and the vector or the intermediary between the bats and humans is pangolins. And the next one belongs to the GS paper 3, Science and Technology, and India country status report on hydrogen and the fuel cells. Right, hydrogen and fuel cells. The hydrogen is a very important element present in the universe because it gives you energy. So we are using many carbon sources as a source of energy, but the carbon sources are giving out carbon dioxide, polluting our earth. So because of this, we are trying to look alternatives for the energy sources. The hydrogen is one clean energy source we can actually tap on. The compilation titled India Country Status Report on Hydrogen and Fuel Cells was an outcome of brainstorming, discussion and presentations on various issues for developing programs and strategies to accelerate the ushering of the hydrogen economy as a part of India's commitment as a participating country in the Mission Innovative Renewable and the Clean Hydrogen Challenge. Renewable and Clean Hydrogen Challenge. So why this is very important? Because of the hydrogen economy. What do you mean by hydrogen economy? So how much hydrogen fuel can you actually produce? So if you produce the hydrogen more in India, so India dependence on the fossil fuels will actually decrease. So it is one of the renewable energy sources. So we could tap on hydrogen for need for fuel, right? So when it comes to the production, you can see the steam methane performing and the partial oxidation, the coal gasification, biomass gasification, electrolyte pyrolysis, thermochemical process. And when it comes to the storage, we have to use the compressed gas in underground caverns, compressed gas tanks. You can see, and the transportation and the use, right? Where do you use the hydrogen fuel? The fuel cell vehicles, the hydrogen hybrid vehicles, and the power generations, the chemical industries, the fertilizers industries, and the refineries. This is the use of hydrogen fuel. So hydrogen economy includes hydrogen production, storage, transport, and utilization, right? So entire thing comes under hydrogen economy, right? From the production, storage, transportation, and finally the usage, how you are using the hydrogen fuel. And why hydrogen is very important, right? Which is a key point. So the advantages of hydrogen over the unconventional fuels: it is in abundance and high energy density. High energy density means the less amount of the fuel will give more amount of energy, right? And ease of transportation. Why it is ease of transportation over the long distances? Because it is very lighter. It has only one electron, one proton, and the one neutron. So it is very lighter, and you can easily carry over the longer distances, compressing it. And better combustion characteristics and non-polluting nature, right? These are the features which makes the hydrogen very useful. And what are the other benefits which we have, right? And it addresses climate change issues. The climate change is one of the global threats. It is an anthropogenic in nature, and if we do not address the climate change, so the human race may become extinct in near future. And for now, many species are becoming extinct as well. Reducing dependency on oil imports. Decarbonize a range of sectors including intensive and long haul transport, chemicals and iron in the steel, etc. right? And reduce emissions, as we already discussed, and also improve the air quality and strengthen the energy security. So these are the benefits using hydrogen fuel brings us. And the mains question you can see, right? Try to answer the mains question and post it in the comments below. What do you mean by hydrogen economy? Explain the significance, merits and demerits associated with the hydrogen fuels. The next important current affairs is Scale India Android app for enhanced quality assurance under Skill India mission, right? Scale India Android app for enhanced quality assurance under Skill India mission, right? It comes under Science and Technology, paper 3. And in the endeavor to provide a single platform to integrate quality assurance across all its services. So all it means which services? The Leather Sector Skill Council, right? So Leather Sector Skill Council today announced the launch of Skill Certificate Assessment for leather employees, right? The full form of SCALE is nothing but Skill Certificate Assessment for leather employees. So whoever the people working in the leather industry, right? So for them, we have this Scale India Android app, Skill Certificate Assessment for leather employees, India Android app, Scale India Android app. The launch of Scale India platform by LSSC. The abbreviation is Leather Sector Skill Council. Leather Sector Skill Council will strengthen the leather skilling ecosystem and will help in fulfilling the Prime Minister's vision to make Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat in the sense self-reliant. India should become self-reliant in technology or the resources, whatever that can be. So we should not look for others to compensate for what India needs. So we have to become self-reliant. This is the meaning of Atmanirbhar Bharat launched by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. The skill capital of the world, right? This is the India. Atmanirbhar Bharat, the skill capital in the world. This is the tagline. The scale will help candidates in skilling ecosystem and get access and certificate on their knowledge, skills and behavior on the specific qualification pack, right? So if you are really good at something, so you will be getting that skilling certificate. It also enables access to micro learning modules. So micro learning modules will be assorting the different modules of different skilling technique and will be training them as well and bridging the skill gap that are identified and can be reassessed and certified at the end of the learning on the specific qualification pack. It further assists the candidate to become a productive resource who is readily employable in the industry, right? So ready employability is one criteria which is actually missing in the Indian economy. So they have to be trained again, because of which the Indian education policy has also transformed recently. In 2020 we have a new education policy which actually facilitates the readily employable human resources in India. Leather Sector Skill Council. So what is Leather Sector Skill Council? It is a non-profit organization dedicated to meet the demand of the skilled workforce in the leather industry in India, right? It is a non-profit organization. It aims to facilitate a skilled ecosystem in the leather industry through capacity building for high productivity and compliance with the global standards, right? To facilitate the skilled ecosystem, because the leather is transported across the globe, so the skilled labor is very much essential. And to facilitate the skilled ecosystem, we have this Leather Sector Skill Council, which is a non-profit organization which was set up in 2012, and it operates under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. It works under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And key objectives: development of the skilled human resources and ensure sector capacity building, and identify and develop QPs and quality controls, right, for all the shops and shop floor roles in the sector. The next one, New Shepard. The next one is the New Shepard program. It comes under GS Paper 3, Science and Technology. And the New Shepard rocket system, it is a rocket system, means to take the tourists to the space successfully, completing its 7th test launch after it took off from the test facility in the Texas. Recently, the space tourism has become a biggest market. So the SpaceX, Elon Musk, is also trying to enhance the space tourism. The same way, the New Shepard right? Which is named after the Alan Shepard, the first American who has gone into the space, right? So the New Shepard is a system built by Amazon, right? It is built by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, and the SpaceX was the industry built by Elon Musk. The both are trying to go for the space tourism. The New Shepard has been named after astronaut Alan Shepard, right? So what it will be doing? So the New Shepard, the system is built by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' space company called Blue Origin, which will eventually allow the space tourists to experience microgravity, right? It is trying to make people experience the microgravity or the zero gravity, taking them to over 100 kilometers above the Earth. Essentially, it is a rocket system that has been designed to take astronauts and research payloads past the Kármán line. So, which is very important. The Kármán line is very important, right? This is very important. So, the Kármán line is internationally recognized boundary of space. So, this is the line at which where the atmosphere thins up, and you cannot even fly over there above 100 kilometers. The Kármán line is an attempt to define the boundary between the Earth's atmosphere and the outer space. Is the boundary where the outer space begins. The line is named after Kármán, the Hungarian-American engineer and physicist, and he was the first person to calculate the altitude at which the atmosphere becomes too thin to support aeronautical flight, right? So it cannot support any aeronautical flight. So no flights can actually travel above 100 meters because the atmosphere is too thin. And it has arrived at 83.6 kilometers. It is where the Kármán line or the atmosphere actually thins up. And the prelims questions were also asked. Please access this PDF from our website iibsias.com, and please try to solve the daily questions. All the questions will be given in the PDF associated with the current affairs of that particular day, and the monthly magazine will also be released, which has all the questions related to the current issues. Thank you.
Please do like the video, and if you have any queries, please put down in the comments below, and we'll be making videos on those areas. And please click on the bell icon and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.